All right, so let's get into the wrestling news in the first part of the podcast this week. So we got some. It's funny because this week I put up a video on the YouTube channel, Rantin Review Pro Wrestling, and it was about New Japan Pro Wrestling, why New Japan has kind of fallen off in the West, and one of the reasons I said was because a lot of the influencers, and these would be podcasters, bloggers, tweeters, and YouTubers in the wrestling community, stop paying attention to that. Now, there's reasons for that. Again, there were multiple reasons I listed in the video. There's one reason about content strikes on YouTube, in particular with YouTube. I think also on Daily Motion that some of the best content creators for New Japan's shows got copyright strikes from TV Asahi. That is a separate issue from some of the ones that I'm talking about. But the one I'm focusing on the most near the end of that video is that a lot of the influencers did not talk about Ring of Honor or New Japan. And the same thing went for Ring of Honor. So now it was released about 24 hours ago from the time of this recording that Ring of Honor, who has been paying all of its wrestlers over the last 18 months during the pandemic, which is an extraordinary thing for them to do. But at a certain point in time, with them not running any new shows, you can't really sustain that. So they're not bringing in any revenue, and things just aren't working. Sinclair Broadcasting has made a decision, and so are the higher-ups at Ring of Honor, that Ring of Honor will not be going away. They're not closing their doors, but they're just shy of it. So they're going to go on hiatus for about 4 months. They are going to be shooting their next round of TV tapings, I believe, coming up this weekend, that will lead them up into December, and then Final Battle, with an appropriately titled pay-per-view. Final Battle will be kind of the swan song to this era of Ring of Honor, with hopefully another era to begin. They have already booked the venue for the Supercard of Honor coming up in April, which is when they said they're going to be starting up again after they spend pretty much the first quarter of 2022 kind of reimagining, which they haven't gone under too many significant changes. I mean, before people were getting poached from other places, Ring of Honor was always getting poached. Like, everybody started taking from them after the Monday Night War. But it did become a proving ground for a lot of great wrestlers who we all watch and love today. It's places where, they've got so many dream matches that would be dream matches today that they already had in Ring of Honor. Even if you look at their YouTube channel, they were posting up videos about, Adam Cole versus Leo Rush, and, just a lot of the great history of wrestlers that have been through there who are all mainstream main event stars today. Kevin Owens, obviously, as Kevin Steen, El Generico, who is now Sami Zayn, Adam Cole, obviously most of the Bullet Club guys, Kenny Omega came through there. He did a stint through there when he was in New Japan. Obviously the Young Bucks came through there. AJ Styles went through there. You got the legacy guys that have never really abandoned Ring of Honor, who've been loyal to the end. Jay Lethal, Dalton Castle, the Briscoe brothers, who I always, was always kind of surprised that they never left Ring of Honor. They're kind of being forced to leave. They may stay around and just say, hey, we'll just hang out until April, and we'll be back in Ring of Honor. We don't want to go anywhere else. This gets into my irritation with us, and I'm going to blame myself for this one too, because I did not talk a lot about Ring of Honor for a while. It's just too much to do. There was too much for me, and I mean, wrestling YouTube is not a full-time job for me like it is for a lot of other wrestling YouTubers, which it is like their main job or their main thing. I've got like 80,000 different things that I do, but it proved to be, with me maxing out at probably at most 5 videos a week, and that's if I'm really cranking. It was really hard to try to do a Ring of Honor show and a Ring of Honor review. I did some in the past on the old channel, on my old Rassslin Rantin YouTube channel, but the crazy thing is now that everything's kind of focused on AEW and WWE, the West, we seem to get stuck in duality, like, two things, PlayStation or Xbox, WWE or AEW, that's the way we do things for some reason. Republicans and Democrats too. But I think Ring of Honor being that kind of factory where a lot of guys got, they got TV exposure, because Ring of Honor was nationally televised. Didn't have a huge audience, but it was nationally televised. Guys got to get some experience there. I'm glad that they're not going away and they're not closing their doors. But I am, again, back to the influencer thing. A lot of people just didn't cover it. And, you have 20,000, videos about what WWE, Vince McMahon, wet his pants this week. And it's like everybody covers it. But Ring of Honor could have a great show. MLW could have a great show. And a lot of us don't cover it. I'm going to try to do a little bit better of that on my own, too. Because I'm kind of calling myself out on that as well, that I didn't cover Ring of Honor as much as I probably should have. And there's a great MLW match that I'm going to be doing a review of. And I think we'll probably try to do a watch along on Patreon that came up this past week. So it is imperative. But again, I there's only so much I can do. This is not my full-time job. So it's like 10% of my time is spent to doing wrestling, YouTube, and podcasting content. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can, but I do think it is incumbent upon, and I don't want to, some of you guys commented like, oh, those British guys are going to come after you. It's like, first off, they probably don't know who I am. Second off, I don't think they really care. And third, I think they will be indignant about the idea that they should cover a lot of other wrestling companies besides just reporting on whatever small little thing Dave Meltzer says about what's going on behind the scenes in WWE and AEW. I personally would think that would be the case. I kind of compare those platforms today to what the old wrestling magazines were back in my day. And back in my day, and I've said this a couple years ago, it's like in the old days, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, and all those magazines, as a kid in the 80s, I go to the corner store, the convenience store, the 7-Eleven, and one of the things you did was go to the magazine rack to see the new wrestling magazines coming out so you could read about the wrestlers that you liked. And the fun thing about it was they would cover everything. Like, and I always remember back at the back pages of all the magazines, they'd have like the top 10 rankings, not just for WWF and the NWA and the AWA, which were the big three back in the day when I was coming up, but they had all the other companies, the Mexican companies, the British companies, they had the Japanese companies in there, they had the territories, they would have articles about the different territories and feuds that were going on there. They covered wrestling. And again, it goes to this kind of division we talk about, that there's pro wrestling fans and there's WWE fans. There's pro wrestling fans and there's sports entertainment fans. And there are people who cover wrestling, say they cover wrestling, but do any of us really cover wrestling, myself included? Do we cover wrestling or do we just cover sports entertainment? It's something that should be talked about. I think I talked about this ad nauseum in the video too, about how the movie review community on YouTube in particular doesn't do that. They love talking about something that you might not have seen or heard of and introducing it to their audiences. Where I think, and I've talked to some of the people who are the bigger wrestling YouTubers. I talked to two of them in the past couple of years, and I brought this up to them, and the thing that I heard, I'm not going to out them. No, I'm not going to do that because that would be rude. And they told me this in confidence, but the thing that I heard from both of them in not so many words was, well, nobody's going to watch that. So they're doing it for the views. Whereas opposed to like a Chris Stuckman would love, in the movie review space, would love to tell you about some movie that you might not have heard of. But since he's got so many people that watch him and he gets 300, 400, 500, up to a million views per video, hey, I can introduce some people. Maybe this video will only get 200,000 views, but it'll introduce a couple thousand people to something they may not have even known about or may not have been interested in watching. I think there is a bit of responsibility, and I even feel it too as a content creator. I'm not a big influencer in the wrestling community, but I have enough fans and enough people that follow me on social media and on my YouTube channel to feel a bit of responsibility that I should cover more stuff that is not just WWE. I don't even really cover WWE. Actually, let me take that back, because I rarely ever cover WWE, to be honest with you. Most of what I cover right now is New Japan and AEW. But again, I want to cover more MLW. I want to talk about some other promotions and go out and look at some other stuff besides the stuff that's just getting views. So that's my pledge. I'm going to try to do that as much as I can. My schedule is always changing around. And again, if you catch me on a good week and I'm doing wrestling videos, I might get 5 up in a week. Usually it's about 2 or 3, but I will try to devote some more time to that. Very quickly, some other wrestling news. I enjoyed AEW Dynamite this past week. Rampage on Friday, though, got trounced by SmackDown on the ratings, so all the WWE fans could be happy about that. Charlotte Flair apparently got herself in a lot of trouble. Well, apparently nobody behind the scenes likes Charlotte Flair. That whole stunt with her and Becky exchanging the belts the other week, that was apparently not planned. And I heard on the rebroadcast of the show that they actually edited out the part where Charlotte dropped the belt. So I don't know what's going on with Charlotte. I think Charlotte's just having an attitude, bro. She's just pitching an attitude, but she's had some pretty rough stuff in her life. You know, her dad just went through some pretty serious. He's gone through a lot of serious stuff with her father. Rick's gone through almost dying, and he's got that whole Dark Side of the Ring controversy coming up. They had problems with the Lacey Evans thing. That was weird. Then he gets quote unquote fired from WWE, and Andrade left WWE and he's having problems with them, so she's still there. But Charlotte, apparently the rumor is that her contract is another couple years, so she's not going anywhere anytime soon, unless she gets fired or released from her contract, which I don't see WWE doing because they know what that would do. AEW confirmed. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about Charlotte. I think it's probably just a bad situation that she's in, and she's just probably had a really rough couple of years, personally, and it's probably coming out in her work. AEW side, there's I think that they are on such a good run right now as far as their creative is concerned, because even as goofy as the main event was on Dynamite this past week with the Elite going up against the Dark Order in that Halloween costume contest, the finish of that match and the swerve that they pulled, I did not see that. I don't think too many people saw that coming, with Hangman being the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But man, that was pretty cool. And it made what I even felt was kind of a really silly match into something that actually was pretty awesome. That was actually pretty fun. The women's division, again, taking big strides. Serena Deebs and Hikaru Shida they're just cranking out a great match this past Wednesday. So I gotta say, I'm always constantly looking for the faults in AEW. I'll be doing an AEW YouTube review on my YouTube channel, so if you want to see a full review of it, check that out. But I've got no complaints about them. I think they're doing pretty well. New Japan, I did cover what was going on with New Japan and the belt. You can also check out the channel for that. I think I'm waiting to see. They haven't really quite gotten back to having those extended shows that they said they were going to have, that they were going to go beyond the 5 and 6 match shows. But I guess when we get to Power Struggle, it seems like all the matches that they're promoting for Power Struggle, it's going to be a bigger card than what we've been seeing over the last 6 to 8 months in New Japan. So hopefully that happens.